Hey, welcome back. This is Dr. Brad Robinson from COGS Musings. I'm joined here with Dr. Mike Martin from Ocean View, Maryland, and Dr. Terrence McCullough from Laurel, Maryland. And we're glad that to be here today. We're going to talk about what that's so chiropractic, and that's the topic that's near and dear to Terrence's heart. So we're gonna just drop it right in your lap and let you take off.
Well, that's so chiropractic is a game that evolved of trying to find chiropractic everywhere. But when my brother-in-law and I started doing that, the novelty of it was looking for it in movies or books or whatever in a very playful way. But as it evolved, or as we found out, we had already been doing it. So for myself and growing up in a chiropractic household, it was just, first the assumption of course we eat right, of course we get adjusted, and on the adjustment side that you got adjusted uh, before a test, before a swim meet, when you felt good, when you felt bad, whatever it might be. It was just an intimate part of your lifestyle. The evolution, continued with the philosophy of um, removing interference and letting things work the way that they're supposed to without adding more. So again, where are you applying the principle in your marriage? Where are you applying the principle in your raising of your children? Where are you applying the principle, of letting innate, and as we talked about last time, universal forces, but these natural forces that are all for good, and I often would use good and God interchangeably, but to help us to work the best we can from above down, inside out. So no matter how the perspective that we looked at things was trying to look through that lens of chiropractic on all aspects of that. So I know I emailed you guys my book list,
Uh-huh.
right? So all those things. So whether it was when I when we would read The Lord of the Rings, which is still my favorite book series of all time, it was like thinking of that in terms of chiropractic, like the good and evil, like us, as chiropractors, us against medicine. That how are we, making that fight? What are we standing for? Then, going back and using whether it was, the motivational speakers from Norman Vincent Peale, uh, Napoleon Hill, the evolution of, to Tony Robbins, to where whomever, Jim Rohn, all those things. But everything that they said of positive thinking or releasing the natural forces, affirmation, to me was so chiropractic because that's what I grew up in.
Yeah.
So we did I've said this before, book reports in our household on the power of positive thinking, as little kids, to the whole family, or trying to share those aspects. That's so chiropractic was, being a family involved in chiropractic. For me growing up, that I think I told you in the family room, we would take the mailers my dad had to the and put them in zip codes or streets or whatever it was. As little kids, we would help. That we had chores in the office was in the basement, right? Chores we did with the basement, that all those things. No different than for us growing up, that my wife made a scheduled appointment with all five of the kids to come to the office to see that our family practiced what we preached. And it wasn't really preaching. It was what's the uh,
Lived.
yeah, lived. Preach the gospel at all times. Use words if necessary. Walking the talk means that you are the talk. You are the
Right.
principle. You are the demonstration. And that was my dad. That apparently was his dad. And again, driving that back to other discussions we've had about earning the right to be called doctor was a significant thing, right? That we were equals. That I shared at our EPOC meeting that, the Parker seminars back in the day about chiropractors, my father building a beautiful office was a demonstration of how this principle can work
Yeah.
for health, not for sickness, right? Those things so that people were recognized. And I was, tie this into something I was thinking about. Chiropractors, we've lost the ability to stand for something. We used to stand for something.
Right.
And, it wasn't just being an alternative. That really wasn't it. That's where we failed. It was we stood alone. No, we're chiropractors. We're a path for health. We're a path for prevention. We're a lifestyle that matters. And we stand for nothing anymore. We used to stand for uh,
We stand for
hands-on healing. Yeah, hands-on healing. We used to stand for posture. We used to stand for not getting vaccines. We weren't anti-vaxxers. We were pro-health, but we stood for it and we had a reason for it. I mean, all these, and I like the MAGA movement and the Maha movement, so to
uh-huh.
speak, Maha. But all those people are standing for things that we used to stand for, and now we're nothing, right? So that's so chiropractic ties into that because we used to make those stands,
Yeah.
and mostly we made those stands in quiet confidence. I always said, Mike, the difference between my dad and your uncle was my dad was not waving a flag,
Yeah.
subluxation or chiropractic in a sense. He just lived it so out loud and walked it. So and so did we then as his children, that people just knew, right? And not everybody can do what your uncle did, and not
Right.
everybody could do what we did, or myself, of just that quiet confidence, and people just knew. As I said, with both my grandfather and my dad, and I think myself, that when people, would be like, I remember somebody saying to my dad about my dad, "Oh, if you want to get better, go to Dr. McCullough, but he's going to hold your feet to the fire.
Right.
If you want to just get a quick crack, go to that guy. But if you want to get better, go to the chiropractor,
Right.
Dr. McCullough." And I do feel like that evolved for me too, because we were walking the talk. That's so chiropractic. And again, you just drive it back to everything, Brad and Mike, that
Yeah.
it's, look at your lifestyle, your kid, how you're trying to do that. And it's even if you fail, you're still trying to do it. It's just in your life everywhere. And now, like I said, we don't stand for anything, and new practitioners are really looking at it from a
Business.
financial business um, aspect as opposed to a life. I won't mention it. My nephew talked about coaching with one of the people out there, and I called somebody who had coached with this person, and he said, "Well, if you want a really great businessman, he's the guy. He sees how to make money and everything, yada yada yada, and he's gonna coach you on how to uh, just lead your business and not be there anymore. Just hire people to run your business. So to me, and I get that that's a choice, but that wasn't a choice for me. Was I no, I want to be there. I want to touch all those people
Sure.
and be a part of that.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing with
You
the
you,
that's
you want to be
chiropractic.
a good businessman
Correct.
in the process of being a great chiropractor.
Correct. No, yeah, I still think Parker, that's what Parker was all
Yeah.
about. Parker was trying to teach people how to be good businessmen, to run
Sure.
a business, put it that way, to know how to do the books,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Charge
Yeah.
a fee,
Charge
have
a fee.
have an attorney, have business principles,
Yeah.
but all within the premise of that you were gonna uh, be a great chiropractor.
All in the premise of serving your community
Yes.
with the principle of chiropractic. And
Yeah.
that's what I see missing a lot.
And that's
Yeah.
what we're trying to bring back to. We're trying to bring this full circle into
Yeah.
consciousness, and the more people we get this to, hopefully we'll touch more people with that thought process. Yeah, I remember Sid standing up at DE saying, "Don't let the right hand know what the left hand was doing." You had to be a business person, but you also had to live the principle and to share the principle. And I think that's what I take away from that.
Yeah. So here's what I was thinking while you were talking. Although at this point, Brad, you and I should just shut up and let Terrence
I
talk
was
for the
going to
next
say, just get out of the way.
few minutes on a roll. So appreciate that. I grew up in a similar household, but it wasn't based upon chiropractic until I got to be about 9. So, I had a mom that was always reading Yule Gibbons. She was always looking into her spirituality. It was in our daily lives. It was talked about. She walked it. My dad was like, probably even more so than your dad, was incredibly quiet. You didn't know his reality unless you pulled it out of him. But um, I lived in a row home and we were in the middle. If you looked at those 5 or 7 row homes, that house in the middle was the different house, right? We didn't do book reports um, because, quite frankly, my dad had less than a sixth grade education. I don't think he ever read a book, so there was no there was no congruency there. But anyway, where am I going with this? So when we experienced chiropractic and it fell into our souls pretty quickly, I was the kid running around the neighborhood telling everybody they needed to be adjusted. All my friends' parents, they needed to find chiropractor. Had no idea why,
Hmm.
right? Didn't know how to explain it. All I knew was that in my heart, I knew it was the right thing to do. Yeah.
Right.
So that so chiropractic wasn't something that was um, easily explained by me, right? So I had to grow into that, unlike you. So I guess what I'm saying and what my question is, how does it become applicable then? If you're in a household for chiropractors and people of late like mine, you can say, oh yeah, the Lord of the Rings, it's good and evil, and they go, yes, it is, like we would here. Atlas Shrugs. It's about a guy that had a philosophy, lived by the philosophy. It was pure, didn't bend. The two of us are like, yeah, no question about it. Now make it applicable going into the office for that person that just ate a Big Mac on the way in,
Right.
and is 80 pounds over. How do we turn that It's So Chiropractic into something as simple as table talk? In our scripting, it's already written out for us. But then every day we've got to stand there at the tables and take our everyday lives and make them so chiropractic, right?
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, that's the tough part. And coaching people for all these years, I can tell you that's the very tough part. I used to hand them a sheet of 50 things that were TikTok. That's all well and good. They can rotely remember it, but what's the intention behind that until they live it, right? Or until they fear it. So how do we make it, how do you make it that applicable philosophy, you know?
Well, I think it's interesting because going to Freddie Schofield years ago, one of the major things that I picked up from him was learning to explain things in word pictures so that people would understand that. Like for instance, the curve in your neck is like an arc in a bridge. It creates strength and stability. That to me that's so chiropractic.
Yeah.
The subluxation is like congestion on an interstate. Those types of things help me understand and be able to apply the philosophy of chiropractic and try to see it in everyday life.
Right.
I've been a long distance runner since I was in my early 20s, and that's when I was really first exposed to chiropractic. My cousin David graduated from Sherman, and our families got together at Christmas time. And he came back and had just left Sherman and was talking about the green books and subluxations. And I had absolutely no idea what he was saying, what he was talking about, but I saw his passion and his just excitement about that. Is spizzerinctum, I think, is the term that they used. But he had that, and I said, I think I want some of it.
Yeah. I think
Turns
you
out
just,
I found out my grandfather, who was an old country medical doctor that graduated from St. Louis University in 1908, was actually a naturopath, and he had gotten a degree from a chiropractic college in like 1914. In fact, I have his diploma sitting up in my office because I'm named after him. And it's just putting all those pieces together that has led me to appreciate and understand and try to share that with humanity. With we try to raise our kids similar to how you were raised, Terrence. Um, they live that chiropractic lifestyle. And when I'm in the office and I point to Dr. Sam and said, "You see that kid? He was adjusted the day he was born, got adjusted at least once a week for his entire life, never been on an antibiotic, never had an ear infection." And you could see the patient's mouth just drop because that is just so foreign to what their upbringing was. And that's the beauty of what we have. We have something completely alternative and not necessarily alternative. We have something diametrically opposed to the treatment of disease, and that is the expression of health. And that's why it's important for us to be able to give analogies and metaphors that people can understand. Because if you read the 33 principles, the first time it doesn't make any sense to you. But after years of study and seeing it, then it becomes a force in your life. And that's what I've tried to do. And I've watched you guys do an incredible job of that over the years.
yeah,
Well,
you
the
said passion, and it changed my thinking immediately. It wasn't like how do you do it in the office? It's just that you if you have the passion, then I think most people don't realize that they just have to do it, right? That their table talk doesn't have to be the 33 principles. It doesn't have to be pressure on nerve. It doesn't have to be whatever. Their table talk can be what's happening in their lives, right? That's what you're talking about, Terrence, is that's so chiropractic. You should be able to take everything that's in front of you the morning before you walk in the office and make that chiropractic.
Yes. And then when you talk about Mike, how do you do it in the office? Your job then is to uh, make it applicable to that patient's life.
Yes,
That's
right.
that's really the secret is that I would drag things in. I have hundreds of them where I would see something in the newspaper or read something, and whether it could be biblical, it could
Right.
be about
Right.
teamwork, it could be an
No
athlete,
question.
so many things that my handouts where I would copy that and I would handwrite something
Right.
with it. And I would then
You do that for me.
I would hand 200 of those or 300 of those out. And obviously not every person, but there was always people that needed it. But you need to pay attention to their lives.
Yeah.
So if it only became important if I took that and made it applicable to to what they call now the life effect on
Yeah.
that person. Um, and as I've said before, that there were some practitioner or coaches who would say, "Oh, have in their file that they have, 3 kids and they're married and they, work at AP whatever." And I was like, "You got to have that in your file. I mean, you don't just know that because you care about that patient. And if you care about that patient, you listen to the things they say. And yeah, so they may complain about pain, okay? But you better relay that back to
Yes. You just said it.
what you're doing when you turn on the power. You
Yeah.
can't just say I had an associate once and he's, oh, we're turning on the power. And I'm like, they don't know what the heck you're talking about. Tell them what the power is for them.
Right.
It, and the same thing, a prayer, an affirmation, a biblical script, all those things. Like I just said,
You,
preach the gospel at all time, use words as necessary.
yeah.
That's so chiropractic, right? That's what walking the talk is. And um,
You should be able to take anything they say to you and turn it into that's how so chiropractic.
Of why you're going to adjust them,
Yeah.
how it's going to help,
Even
and
if it's their
what you just
grandson,
did.
even if it's their grandson winning a wrestling match, right?
Correct.
And if they don't say anything, then I'm looking at hummingbirds. I should be able to take these four hummingbirds fighting outside my window and turn that into tick, you know?
Look at
That's
one post. Look at the posters on your wall. What did you put on your walls?
yeah,
So that's why I had Montessori posters on my wall. I had positive at whatever
right.
affirmation, but pictures. So you'd point at the picture. The one I had was from Fred that had the uh, Asian guy on the boat with the birds
Yeah.
that they did the fishing for him and how that you'd be like, this is so chiropractic and this is what it's all about, balance in your life, whatever it might be. You can do whatever you would want with it. I would I told Terrence, my son, I'd be like, I would morph three or four patients into one to tell
Yeah,
and tell
absolutely.
another patient a story, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
you know what I mean, where
Yeah,
their
yeah, yeah.
complaints or their life, whatever, so that you could make a story for that, a parable
Mhm.
for that person, right? And that sort of thing, and that's just
You've got a you've got a room full of people sitting there, hot
yeah,
seats. They can hear every word you say.
yeah,
Why would you not take that so chiropractic story and make it applicable for the six people that are sitting there?
of course,
Right?
yes,
That's
That's
the beauty of
I know.
open adjusting suites,
That's
because
way more
everyone's unique.
fun.
yep,
It's way more fun,
Oh yeah,
you know?
I made it a game when I was working between the two tables, how I could tailor the table talk for both patients that are laying there, and then the people sitting there, and then how to just carry on that conversation for 5 or 10 minutes as I'm adjusting
Yeah.
people.
Well, if you tailor the table talk to the next six patients, quite frankly, that's the less you have to say
Correct.
all day, you know. So here's a question that popped in my brain, or here's a thought. We might more than likely we will have some people that watch this that are just completely gobsmacked. You know, they just don't even know how to start the process, right? I mean, I've talked to chiropractors, and that we're speaking a completely different language than they're used to because they've been taught to say these certain things. What would you say to them, Brad? I'm gonna stop.
Take time, read, think, write, uh, prepare. Don't just walk in there and think that suddenly you're going to be inspired by innate. You will be from time to time, but fortune favors the prepared.
Right.
To prepare for these things and write these things down and listen to the patient and try to respond to them, then it becomes more natural. At first, it's difficult. It's not an easy thing. I would take four table talk cards. I would put them on a 3x5 card, pick four of them for the day, and stick them in my back pocket, and that would be the basis for my table talk for the day. But if the patient came in and told me they fell down a flight of stairs, I'm not going to say that your cells are replacing themselves at 2.5 to 3 million cells per minute.
I think
Other than to say that your body's going to heal. But you have to tailor that conversation or that educational piece to what that patient is facing themselves.
Terrence, you answered this question a little while ago, and when Brad said read, I would think that get that article and write something on it, copy
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Pay attention. It's
Yep.
everywhere.
Yep.
If you again plant the seed in your mind of, well, I'm going to look for chiropractic everywhere, and you start to pay attention, it starts to appear if you continue to pay attention.
Right.
The application again in the office, and we've shared this, it's like, well, what's your line with core table talk? And it will, very Gonstead-esque from my No matter what they say, no matter what they say, let's check it.
Yeah, right, right.
The worst. This hurt. Well, let's. The greatest thing you can do for someone as a healing practitioner is to let me check it.
Yeah, yeah,
Right. Let's check it. And then as a chiropractor, then you could say, well, there it is. Right. That was our favorite with
there
firm
it is.
palpation of whether it's C5,
Mhm.
right, L5, T spot, whatever. And then they're going to say, there's what? There's your opening.
Right.
The interference. There's the bone out of whatever, you want to say, keep it very short, and you have the opportunity to then to relate it to them. Whether it's, well, that nerve goes to your heart, or that's going, did whatever. Not only does that nerve go to your shoulder that hurts, that's the same one that goes to your heart. Really?
Yeah.
Yes. If your
Yeah.
shoulder's not working good, how good is, all these things that go
Top of
back
your lungs. Yep.
to, I say, to Gonstead, and a lot of people have, and other chiropractors, from my dad
Yeah.
would say, and then you adjust it and you say, that's a great adjustment.
See you Friday. Bring a
See you
friend.
Friday. Go use your ice pack. Whatever it might
Yeah.
be. Maybe you're going to give some instructions, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
I'll check you Wednesday, or I'll check you Friday, or but that gives, that middle part gives you the opportunity to then,
Absolutely. Yep.
they need more. If they need more, you should know, well, this is important because I want you to be able to lift little Johnny, right?
Or get up off the floor after playing with little Johnny. Yep.
Correct. Or I want you to be able to play pickleball later, or I want you
Yeah.
to go
Yeah.
for a run, or whatever it might be. And it just gives you that opportunity. Uh, I pulled out, this is your guy. Um, Old article, the Coach's Corner from CJ Mertz.
Yeah.
This is March '06. And in fact, he mentions in here, which you might have, Mike, you're going to have to share this, his waiting list. He has uh, some sort of audio about the top 10 things to say. But anyway,
I'm sure we have
You probably have it around
it.
somewhere, I'm sure.
Here's the thing. It was probably on a cassette tape, and I don't have it anymore.
the gist of it was talk chiropractic all the time
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
the office, but keep it under a minute.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Move on, and you don't have to do a healthcare class to every patient every time, and
No.
that's the fallacy. But
CJ was a
That's a
big,
mistake to do it that way.
yeah, he was a big proponent of the 3 minute adjustment and table talk and out
Right.
three. So yeah, it doesn't, you can't do a lay lecture in 3 minutes. And
but
I
that
knew there were some people would listen to this, their heads are going to go 3 minutes, but yeah, three
but
minutes.
if you're really focused, 3 minutes is is a long time, right? And
It is.
the energy expenditure, it, if chiropractors who are listening, if whatever volume you're at, if you really go in focused, stick to those five. Let's check it. There it is. We got work
Yep,
to do.
yep, you got it.
Chiropractor,
The 5 steps of a great adjustment. Yep.
whatever, and move on. You'll be exhausted.
Yeah.
You're going to be exhausted
Yeah.
from not bullshitting.
Yeah.
You're going to be exhausted from being focused. Whether
Yeah.
you 10 people in the day or 200, you'll be as you first do it, you'll be tired. Later on, you will receive energy
Yeah.
because you're giving so much energy. But in the beginning, you're
Yeah.
because it takes a lot of effort.
Yeah.
It's so much easier to just bullshit.
Well, I think as you learn that process, you get good at it, you prepare for it, you do your disciplines in the morning, then we said it last time, you become the Halloweeny, you get out of the way, and an egg takes over, and then you don't use that energy because educated isn't there taking over. So you walk out of there and you still have energy to go to the gym or go for a run,
Yep.
you know? So. Say it all the time. I say, I love my patients 3 minutes at a time. Any more than that, I was falling out of love with you, probably. Kidding. I'm kidding. But there's a
Agreed.
difference in
No, it's true.
it.
So let me
They
ask
don't
you
want to be
this.
they don't want to be your friend.
Well,
I want to be friendly with you.
Right.
Friendly, not friends, right?
Yeah.
Right.
I used you were as you were saying that I'm thinking I used to look at people and they were talking and I'd say, look, you we can continue to talk about this all day long, but wouldn't you want to lie down and let me find it?
Yep,
And the opening was find what? And I'd be like, okay, here we go. You know?
yep,
Yeah.
100%, 100%.
Brad?
So,
So I have a question for you, Terrence. In the last 48 hours, what have you observed in your life that is so chiropractic?
well, I on the when I was hiking the other day, I took a picture on my phone of a tree, two trees. One was a big one and another was a smaller one, but it was on an embankment like this, right? And the smaller one had wrapped its one root around the other tree, right, to help it stabilize it. To me, that's so chiropractic. It's like, how did it's innate, both of their innate, right? How did they know to do this to work together?
Hmm.
How is it revealed everywhere that there's this intelligence in everything in communication and working together to help each other? And so those are things I would, take into the office. I might have that picture, or I might put it on on a piece of paper and write, how is this how is this helping health, or how is this for your family, or whatever, it's our job, those sorts of things. So those are things, I did that after I spoke up at the Fire on the Mountain thing. I have a compost pit thing. You put your stuff in it and you spin it. Anyway, a tomato seed had gone in there and it had grown out through the crack in the lid. I sent that picture to the one student and I said, that's so chiropractic. Talk about this with your friends. What does this mean? And it was twist, all those sorts of things. What does this mean? Right? How is innate? It has a desire to thrive, right? It wants to live. And if I took the pressure off because it was growing through the
Correct.
crack, right? How would I have released it to live even better, right?
Mhm.
Those aspects. So
Yeah.
stuff like that is just out there all the time.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Mike, same question. Last 48 hours.
It's interesting. I just mentioned I'm watching these four hummingbirds in this big picture window, and and two things occurred to me. The first one is the one I would probably use in the office, is I would say, these little teeny tiny hummingbirds, they leave here every September and they fly to Central America, and they go to the same place every year. And their lifespan is, about 8 years, give or take. And every year they come back to this same feeder, the same exact feeder in front of my house. They know how to get there and they know how to get back. They know when to leave and when to come back. And it's all based upon that little teeny tiny brain, and this whole body has an intelligence in it. It's innate intelligence. And it's not just this one, all four of them do the same thing. So if they all have this innate intelligence, then there must be a bigger intelligence that feeds them. Whatever you want to call it. I'll call it, Gus or God or universal intelligence. And you have the same thing. As a patient, you have the same thing. And right now, you're subluxated and it's blocking that intelligence, universal to innate through your body. And my guess is you might not even know how to get home, and yet these guys know how to get to Central America. That might be one talk.
That's great.
The other thing is these guys dive bomb each other so quickly and so fast. There's no way that they can see it, hear it, feel it. They just know what's happening. And again, that's part of the complete cycle,
Right.
not the safety pin cycle. That's called ideation. And we do the same thing. We take in all the information without even knowing that we're taking it in.
Right.
And again, that's universal intelligence. So I would use something like that
Nice.
tomorrow or later today.
Awesome.
How
I
about
think
you?
those are great opportunities. And then remember too that, and you said it earlier, that I know all three of us are thinking at a much higher level than most people. So it very more easily could be Yeah, I saw a broken down car on the side of the road, and I was thinking about you, Mike. Uh,
Right.
that,
Right.
that's how you came in the
Yeah,
office.
yeah, 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 yeah,
We're
yeah.
doing this. Or I had a older patient, on the phone last week who, after 30 years, she's stopping because she can't make the drive anymore and blah, blah, blah. And she said, "Oh, and I felt like it wasn't doing as much for me as it used to." And I said, "Marcia," I said, "you're 85." I said, I'm going to be 65. I said, "I found that I need weight. I'm an old car. You're a classic. You're going to need
Easy.
more care
Easy.
to keep you running than
Yeah,
so that's that's an
yeah,
old
yeah, yeah.
whatever." But you also, and I even said, "I'm going to apologize to you before I say it, but you're 20 years older than I am. I know
Yeah.
I've been running a little bit more. I need more maintenance now than ever before. I can't get by with one adjustment a week. I need at least two adjustments a week." I said, "I've been fighting with you." I told her, I said, "I've been fighting with you for 30 years to come more when you flare up, and you always tell me you can't." I said, "So it's okay. Yes, do your exercise. Yes, brush your teeth. But none of those things are going to do as good." Uh,
We
and
could
so
do this.
I had a patient use the brush your teeth one with her mom. She was telling me how she was getting her extra. I'm like, "Where'd you
Where'd
hear
you learn
that?
that?
Where'd you learn that from?" "Well, I learned it from you." She said, "And I used it on my mom to get her to go out and do her
Yeah.
exercise every day." Anyway,
We could do this all day, right? Because we've done it all day.
correct,
Perfect.
correct.
That's
But that's so chiropractic, isn't it?
Yes.
And we live it, we live it all day, every day. So we're so chiropractic.
and you just keep aware, you're aware of it and your antenna are up looking for it.
Yeah. The two things it took me a long time, but probably how many years, last 20 plus years. The two things I never did in the office was, I won't say never, but I tried really hard not to talk about anything but chiropractic.
Hmm.
Occasionally a ball game might get in the mix,
Yeah.
right? And I was really good at this. I never ever spoke to anybody when my hands were on the patient on the table. Ever. Did I have to take my hands off and step back to say something? I would, but I took my hands off the patient and I took a little lean back. Never ever were my hands on anybody and I was looking up talking to you. In the beginning, yeah. But then I realized that breaks that
Yep.
It's
innate.
disrespectful to the patient laying on the table.
It's their 3 minutes.
Yep,
Back to focus, right? Back to focus.
And
And
if
exactly.
they're
you're right.
getting
Yeah.
only 3 minutes, they better get the best 3 minutes I have for them at that moment, right?
I think the other thing that I would say too about that, so chiropractic and focus, is that, uh, and we're aware of people, docs, that you can't, when you walk the talk, it's got to be for real. And we have so many, as I've said, there's so many posers, or what, I don't know what term to use, but if you're Dean's favorite word, if you're incongruent when you walk out of the office. So if you're telling everybody this is what you do or what they should do, and you go out and you don't do it, they're going to find you out. And I told my staff this for years. If you shake your head and say, "Yeah, Dr. T, I'm in," and blah, 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 and then you go outside and you say, "He's so full of whatever," or fill in the blank, it's that doesn't work. They're going to find you out, or you're going to find yourself out,
Yeah.
and you're fraud,
You're fraud.
you're
Yeah.
fraud.
Yeah.
And that's the other part of it. You're holding yourself to a higher standard, and it's perilous. And Mike, I know you've experienced this, and I'm sure Brad, you did too. And I tell people this all the time. It's like, "Oh, it's Dr. T. It's fill in the blank. It's okay." Like, because you're you're walking the chalk and you're portraying that.
Standards are different.
It's there's a weird segment of people who want to see you fail.
Yeah.
That is so. I mean, it's one of the most bizarre things to me in the world,
Yeah.
that people want to see you get sick
Yeah.
or injure yourself
Yeah.
or fail in
Yeah.
some way, shape, or fashion. And that's a tough one. It's uh, in
And
my in my
I'll say
moments of
this.
less humility, I'm always like with chiropractic, I'm like, yeah, I'm that guy. Yeah, I want you to know I was or I am that guy. Like I think like you two that I have found I've had to stand up for myself a little bit more than I ever did before and say, no, 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 yeah, no. I saw a lot of people. Oh yeah, had a lot of kids. Yep, ran some races. Yep,
Yep.
got a diplomate. You're all what,
Yep. Yep. Still married. Yep.
Yep, still married. Yep,
Yep.
those sorts of things. And
Got quite a bit of money. Yep.
yeah, got some money saved.
Yep.
I don't know, and then
I
but at
know.
the same time,
I know.
every time if I do that, even in this moment now saying it, I feel a little awkward.
It is awkward.
I feel a little bit, I'm like, isn't in my head, I'm like, isn't everybody doing this? That's because that's what I
That's the
hope.
bizarre thing.
That's
Well,
Everybody should be able to do that.
that's what I really pray for is that everybody would want to do it and strive. And to me, that's so chiropractic to
I
do better, to
yeah.
want to strive, to want to all those things. And
I stole this, I think, from Dean is, and I mean this. I mean it all to almost at my core. I don't want anything from you or from anybody. I want everything for you.
yep,
And I will do almost anything to help you get there. When I say almost anything to help you get there, I'm not going to become fraudulent. I'm not going to take time and energy away from my family. You know, those things that make me who I am. I'm not going to bastardize them, but I'll do anything that I can to help you get there. And I mean that. I mean that,
agreed,
you know,
agreed. And like I said, uh,
except for maybe,
I'm so chiropractic. I'm still working on not failing.
yeah, yeah,
I'm still working on not letting other people down to make I felt that obligation that we're supposed to be that beacon. We're supposed to demonstrate that. And I feel that's a responsibility of chiropractic. And that's when I say I'm a link to the old timers. I feel that the old timers felt that too.
I think so
They were
too.
supposed to demonstrate that chiropractic, the way of the chiropractor was a better way than the way of the medical profession.
Yeah.
And they took that seriously. And that's what I mean. We're not there's no stand we don't stand for that. Nobody's standing for anything. There's no
No. Hey, look, I'm not a saint. I don't want you putting me on a pedestal.
nope.
I have flaws. I work on them very hard, but and I also enjoy myself and have fun. So I don't want anybody to think that I'm, got a white robe on and I'm sitting in a lotus position all day every day. That's not what we're saying.
Agreed.
You
No,
know,
I
we're
agree.
just trying to be good men and great chiropractors and wonderful husbands and phenomenal fathers, and we just working hard at it. That's all. Work hard.
Just
That's
trying to
the
be good.
above, down, inside out principle right there. And
Yeah,
that's what's so chiropractic is that it's not a job, it's not a profession, it's a lifestyle.
yeah,
It's a way of living
yeah,
um, connected to your innate, connected
yeah,
to a universal
yeah.
intelligence instead of trying to fight it.
Yeah. It's funny as you say. It's a lifestyle. It's a way of living. It is. It's who we are.
Right.
You know.
Yep.
It's who we are. I always thought my parents made me. My parents made me who I am, and that's the core of it. And then my uncle made me what I am, and at some point in my life, they became pretty much synonymous. You know, that amalgamation of the two.
Correct.
Well, listen, our parents' job and other mentors we have uh, put us on the path,
Yeah.
right? But
Right.
it's been our job to stay on that path
Yeah.
and to do the work. And I've had some mentors or coaches um, who wanted me to give them all the credit,
Hmm.
and I refuse to do that.
Yeah, right.
I
I agree.
mean, I might have done a testimonial, but I would always say I did the work. I did the work.
Right.
Thanks for sharing this thought with me, but
Yeah,
I,
yeah.
I did the work,
Mhm.
and uh, yeah,
Thanks for shining the flashlight on what needed to be done.
yeah, that's all, right? But and that's what this is supposed to be for people.
Right.
Did you ever think? I mean, to me, it should be. Have you ever thought about this? And most people watching it, maybe 95% are like, no, wow, I never thought about that. That's step one.
Yeah, now get to it.
I'll get to it. So that email I sent you guys of my book stuff,
Hmm.
I I will tell you, I've shared that with well, all the Epoch group I'm in, all my family, some other people. Guess how many people have done the same thing? Zero.
Zero.
I've even asked it.
When did you send that?
I sent you that this morning.
Okay,
But
I haven't seen
I've not shared it with you guys before, but I shared it 8 years ago with this from, I think it's from 2017 or 18 when I wrote that. My sister's, somebody asked a question, what's your favorite book? And that was my response. I said, well, I mean, I can't just give you this one thing. And that's what led to that email. If you should have it. But
Great.
my bigger point is the act, um, that's so chiropractic too, is a lot of people say, well, that's interesting and never do anything about it.
sure.
It's like goal setting. I used to tease my brother and my brother-in-law who's gone now. And I'd say, you got your goals written down? He'd say, oh, they're all right here.
Here
And I'd say, that's exactly where they're
it
going to
comes.
stay, right?
Yeah, right.
Right. Move your feet when you pray, all those things.
Nice.
Very few people, and I'll say it again, if 100 people watch this, I challenge all 100 to do something about it.
Well, there you go.
I'll bet none of them, I'll bet, the 1% or 2%, but
Yeah,
and I'll say it again, if you have a question, then reach out.
reach out. I will tell you because I get um when somebody joins the COG group, I know who they are. And if I'm thinking about the people that have actually joined to watch this, I bet it's more than 1%. There are some good people on this call.
Good,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. So I challenge you too.
Yeah, yeah.
Great.
Takes some energy. So good
Yeah,
stuff.
so that's the thing, right? That's the call to action or the hope call to action is move your feet while you pray.
Yeah.
Send this to somebody that you know doesn't watch it, or send it to somebody that might, but you're not sure. Um,
Or watch it and talk about it with the group of guys and gals you
yeah.
do, and talk about what you're going to do about it
Yep.
or how
Yep.
you're going to do it.
Mhm.
Right.
And reach out and
Yeah.
reach out. We did I send you guys I started to send you guys a text. The young man at Sherman
Oh, right.
Yes.
has put out some dates. Did I send it to you guys? Brad, I think I did.
Haven't seen the dates yet. You just
The
said
dates are the dates are October, the start of the new quarter, October 1st to the 18th. Um, that
that,
second full week being the best week. And he said the week during the week is better than the weekend.
that
So,
actually works for me because I'm going to be in Hilton Head
right.
that time, and as long as we get a date, I can drive over. It's about a
Well,
4 hour drive.
yeah, it's just a matter of us giving him a couple of dates and him putting it together. So, yeah, I'm good that whole second week, the 6th through the I'm good the 6th through like the 14th. So, why don't you look at it and let me know for sure?
I will do it.
Okay.
I'll check it out.
Yeah, and then we'll figure out he's, maybe we can do two, right? Instead of just one. And then once we have it, a couple of dates, I'll get a hold of Brian and Ron and see if they can't find maybe an instructor that'll let us come in to somebody's class other than Patrick's. Like, if we're going to be there, we might as well do a couple, right?
Right.
If they let us, sure.
Yeah, if they let us, right?
Correct.
Anyway, all right.
Thank you.
I love you guys. I'll talk to you
2 weeks
again in 2 weeks here, but I'll talk to you before then.
more than. All right.
All right. See you.
God bless. Stay well.